Well, hello, 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 fellow addicts. Welcome back to Addicts Live. I am your resident head addict, Alyssa, or Owlette, from Borrowing Riley's Halloween costume. And my co-hosts this week are everyone's favorite skeleton wookster.
Zombie brain Scientology.
Okay, zombie wookster. And the only, wearing his Halloween costume the appropriate week now, cranky old guy, Patrick.
So I was early on the gun. I mean, when you spend a whole $3 to get the kids meal, decoration thing, you want to wear it more than once because you have such a hefty investment.
That's true. That's true. So as you can see, this is our Halloween episode. We're all decked out, and this actually is probably going to be coming off my face soon because this is meant for a child's face, not mine. So it's like poking at my eyeballs. So now it's time for your regular reminder. For those watching this live, this is meant to be interactive. So share your questions and comments below and join in the fun. And as you can see from the show notes this week, we've got a lot to talk about. A lot of controversies going on in the world of Simpsons. So let's get to it. We'll start off with the open-ended question, which we'll talk about in a little while, but you guys know I like to read those at the top of the show to remind people to answer things in the comments. The thought-provoking question this week, there is no poll, so you actually have to write out your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode that aired last week? It was kind of controversial. I know a lot of you talked about it in the open thread. So we're going to talk about that a little later in the show, but share your thoughts on that below. But yeah, let's jump to some of the non-controversial stuff. Okay, this is coming off my face now. All right, let's jump to some of the non-controversial stuff in the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror TSTO aspect. Our pocket-sized Springfields have Act 2 is now live in our games. Well, it's been live for a few days. So guys, what are your thoughts on we've got a new Wookiee now. I'm so zoned in, so focused. I didn't even notice he changed his face. Let the Wookiee win.
What do you mean I changed my face?
That's true. That's your normal face. That's right.
Okay, this is now pinching my head. And if I leave it on 10 more minutes, I'll have to sue McDonald's for making it too small for my head, but it's coming off. And there I am. The original.
I thought you were taking the mask off.
Wait, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, guys. So what are your thoughts on Act 2, the werewolf edition of Treehouse of Horror in our pocket-sized Springfields?
I'm enjoying it. I mean, I wrote about it yesterday a little bit. I'm enjoying it. I think it's fine. The only real problem I have is that there's just a lack of enough land to put all the stuff they want you to put in there, so you don't go in there. You put it everywhere else. But no, I mean, as far as I love the Universal Studios homage, it's all good. It's all good. I'm not sure where the next act stuff's going to end up, but I'm actually enjoying it. It's simple. It's easy. I actually finished it yesterday. I'm now earning bonuts and saving axes. Save your axes.
Yes. Save your axes once you are done. Wookster.
Right. I'm enjoying it too. I think, I don't know. I mean, I appreciate the login every 4 hours, and you don't have to do anything until you have time to do the shovel jobs or pickaxe jobs. And Werewolf Millhouse brings me joy.
Yeah, I just think there's some funny dialogue. I think they did a good job. It feels more like one of the traditional old school events, that it's got good dialogue. There's enough characters. There's enough stuff. The crafting is really kind of, if you want to do it or not. I mean, I've leveled up several times without crafting a bunch of clutter. So I do like the way that you have that option. Just hit the button, move up to the next level, whatever. But it's just not that big a deal.
Right.
There's no tension or, oh my God, I can't keep up.
Well, and let's face it too, Wookiee likes it because there's characters in the game that are hairier than he is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's debatable.
Your brethren. your brothers have come home.
I just, if anybody's like werewolves, they're wolves.
Interesting. Another Wookiee nugget.
It's a really PC way to look at it, Wook. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
They're wolves. Yeah, that's
they're wolves.
Yeah, I like that.
It's fun. And I like the minions better in this act than the last one. Like
they're pretty jumpy. They like to fly. It's kind of I'm a fan of these guys, these big wolves.
Yeah, and like even I love how the kids are like little bitty baby wolves, and then like there's like a medium-sized wolf, and then like CBG is like a big old wolf. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think they've done a good job, like I said, making this more back. They put some thought into it, is my point. Yes, there's a lot of regurgitation. Yes, there's a lot of repurposed clutter that has been, altered a little bit to look like something different. But who cares at this point?
And I don't feel like the crafting has forced a bunch of crap into my town.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I actually have picked what I wanted and progressed along, and
yeah, I totally agree.
And you get one of like every one of the big things just by doing the pickaxe jobs.
Exactly.
So if you don't craft it all, you'll get one of them.
Yep.
Well, when you're someone like me who's not a fan of Halloween, everything's crap. So I can't wait for all my stuff to go in storage.
I like the bridges. I mean, there's a few things that
the bridge is okay.
Using. I mean, part of the problem is that if you've played the game for a long time, you probably have like 4 zones that could be considered either Halloween or medieval or something in your town. So this is going to force me on some level to actually, coalesce some of this stuff together into something that makes sense. Because I do have some sections that are kind of confusing. They morph from haunted to medieval. So it'll be fun. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's I kind of agree. They took, while it's a lot of recycled elements as far as the gameplay itself, they took good recycled elements. Like the dig site, everybody really liked the dig site when they had that a few years ago.
Yeah.
Or last year. Even though it was such a crappy event because it was from the time travel event that no one liked, everybody liked the dig site. So that was a good element to bring back. And it allows you to hoard your pickaxes. And really, you can hoard your pickaxes for 3 days and then just spend, you're going to have a lot of pickaxes, but then spend like 20, 30 minutes just playing the game to get, all your points back. You don't really have to worry about losing currency because you're not frequent enough to log in, or you don't have the time to log in for more than 30 seconds.
I'm just saying, I'm just going to put a disclaimer at it right now. So this is an episode where we're going to have to really enunciate clearly, because when you say a phrase like hoard your pickaxes, there's so many things that could go wrong in that phrase. So, pretty soon we're talking about something completely different.
Hey, all I'm saying is pick ass.
Yeah, exactly. You can pick your horse, but you can't pick your ass. Axes, horse, horns. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway.
All right, so
Alyssa's like, oh, that's right. That's why I don't get these two together.
Well, it doesn't help that I have a cold, so enunciating is not the best anyway.
Just say unique New York.
Yeah.
Unique New York.
Or rural squirrel.
That's a good one.
Rural squirrel.
Yeah.
Rural.
All right, so this event has brought us 3 mystery boxes. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Do we really need 3 mystery boxes for all this crap?
No. And
I haven't seen one of them because I have everything.
Yeah.
We had the magical one, the Treehouse of Horror one, and then a Halloween one, which I think is kind of comical that there's a separate Treehouse of Horror and a Halloween one. But,
But I'll say this again. Usually what the mystery boxes do for me, even though there was a lot of stuff that I might have bought before I became a donut farmer, the reality is all it does is remind me of all the good reasons I didn't buy it in the first place. I look at a lot of this stuff, I go, no, I don't want that, no, and not that either. So then the other side of it is, if you're going to gamble to get the one out of the 7 things, that can be a pretty expensive gamble. So it's like, no. I like it when they just bring something back. You know, I don't mind paying a little bit, you know, something that I didn't get. In fact, I did that with the Swamp Beast. That I had not bought that, and I needed one more swamp for my America Town, so it worked out. Yeah.
Are you trying to make some kind of political statement with all those swamps in your America Town?
No, not me. No, not at all. I just like the way they look.
You're supposed to drain those swamps.
Yeah,
but it really makes a point when the swamps are undrainable.
That's true. That's true. True.
And then there's a monster.
True.
Well, the thing the mystery boxes have done over the last, they've been out for about a year now, I think, a little over a year. They've really made it so that anything that's expensive, people don't want to buy, unless you're a donut farmer. Because when you're a donut farmer, you buy everything because you're crazy. But it's like, I liken donut farmers, excessive donut farmers, to those who, like the Amish, who are suddenly on their, what's that thing called when they get to take a break from being Amish to see if that's what they still want to do?
Yeah.
It's like the same thing, because when you're a donut farmer and you've spent years not having donuts because you never put money in the game, and then all of a sudden you have thousands of donuts from donut farming, you go crazy. You do everything. You lack, common sense sometimes because you buy 6 whales.
I take offense to that. So I am a donut farmer, but I'm a casual donut farmer, and I'm still picky about what I get. I don't want.
How many whales do you have?
I have no whales.
That's the test. How many whales does Wookie have?
I had a whale before I was a donut farmer.
Yes, you did.
And I got that through duties on the blog.
Yes, but I refuse to buy a whale.
I felt an obligation for somebody to have an opinion about a whale.
My
opinion has always been, don't buy the damn whale.
I don't have the whale. I don't have the floating pirate ship. I mean, there's so many things I don't have that it's hilarious. But it's, again, for me, the donuts that I farm are really used to get the stuff I want faster, so I don't have to think twice. When the Wolfman came up, boom, got him. I didn't even think twice. That was great. But I've got I'm casual. I have like 500 donuts sitting around.
Well, so my point basically is just that, like, in these mystery boxes, things that cost, like last year, the Burns Dragon during the magical event was 199 donuts. It came in a mystery box for 50 donuts. So what it's doing is it's basically telling people, don't buy this, because in a year from now or 6 months from now or even a month from now, it's going to be in a mystery box for way less donuts. It's like they're trying to get those compulsive buyers, but then they're like also telling people like me who actually spend cash and think rationally about what they buy and what they don't buy to some extent. Well, I'm not going to buy this now because it's just going to come back in 3 months and I'll be able to get it then for 75% off.
They're also playing on the gambler, though, because again, the mystery boxes is a gamble. If you've got 7 things and you're shooting for 1, it could cost you 350 donuts.
That's true.
It is weird. Again, it's interesting to me that they delineate between things they just bring back. That's like however you want to look at it. It's the vault. And things they put in the mystery box. Because to me, the vault is like, yeah, it's a discount. Yeah, I got it. And a lot of times they even rebate on those things. So it's like, yeah, I'll do that. But the mystery box, it's kind of like, nah, unless it's down to 3 things I really think I want, it's not a good gamble for me. So anyway, that said.
What do you think, Woogie?
If I had mystery boxes, I'm sure I might do them.
Well, does the thought of a mystery box bringing something back for 75% off entice you to not buy something now, or would you still just buy it now?
Nah, I'm like TSTO Veruca Salt. I want it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go one step further. At my age, you don't know if you can wait for a year. I might be toast. I might be on the rocks in a year. So, or the game could be gone in a year. I mean, those are the things I'm not willing to gamble. Does this sound like somebody who's just getting ready to sign up for Social Security? That must be what it is.
Well, like I literally had like an existential crisis this week thinking about my TSTO game because I play that Disney emoji pop thing, and it wouldn't like connect to whatever. So somebody said, "Oh, just uninstall and reinstall, and it'll be fine." Well, it's not. I lost everything, like a year and a half of playing, and like,
oh my.
it was like. And I did spend a lot of money, but I spent a little money on it. I was like, oh, my goodness. And it got me thinking about TSTO, like if the whole thing was gone. And I had a bit of a crisis. I would feel like I lost like a piece of me, even though it's just a digital town.
Don't worry, Wookie. I will always be in your life with or without TSTO.
Good.
So who does the
That'll send me corn.
I will. Who does the Disney game? Who does the Disney game?
I don't.
They couldn't back it up. They don't have support. They didn't have any way to back it up.
I'm waiting for an answer from their support.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Got it. All
it's
right.
like trying to get an answer from TinyCo.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, did you see that thing? Sonic Boy posted that TSTO was one of the worst games ever or something. Out of 25 games, it was like number 3 of worst. And I'm thinking to myself, it said it had to be because of the pay for play and they force you to buy things to play the game. And I'm like, they must have TSTO confused with Family Guy. Because Family Guy didn't make that list. And Family Guy you have to buy to play. So it's very interesting.
That's odd. I mean, the thing about TSTO is that for a real gamer, a gamer, it's very slow paced. It's very methodical. It's very chill. You're not getting instant gratification 99% of the time. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But who cares? If the last person that I'm going to take advice or any kind of consent from is a gamer. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Get a life. Sorry. Whoa. Rather harsh.
They got real.
Ooh.
They have lives. They just spend them
in the
universes.
In the basement, peering at their next door neighbor. Anyway, sorry.
Well, those basement dwellers.
Yeah, that's right. Ooh.
Okay, so let's look ahead because I want to jump into some other stuff real quick. But let's look ahead to Act 3, which is going to hit Wednesday. As we mentioned at the top, make sure you're saving your pickaxes so that you get a good jump on Act 3. But I always tell people to either be almost at the end of the last prize, like have it almost within your reach, or be able to achieve it quickly, or have the last prize before you start actually saving pickaxes, because that's the easiest way to earn currency. So don't hoard them if you're at risk of not getting all the prizes, unless you don't want all the prizes. But the other thing you should be doing is starting Monday. You should be saving your daily challenges. So you save Mondays, Tuesdays, and then when the new act hits, they'll convert over and you'll get another one Wednesday. So you have 3. So you get a good 12,000 event currency jumpstart on the prize track. It's a good way to get a head start. So that's what you should be doing to prepare for that. But then looking ahead to Act 3, we've already had vampires, we've had werewolves. So even though we know what's coming, by process of elimination on the splash screen, the next thing should be mummies. And mummies mean,
Egypt.
Exactly. And it's going to be a lot of
sand. A lot of sand in your shoes. Yeah.
Patrick's going to be in a lot of denial about this act.
Not a lot of daddies in Egypt, just mummies.
Right.
Yeah,
the daddies work. The mummies stayed home.
So go ahead.
I just, for me, it's like, it's fine. It's predictable. It's cool. I already kind of said the hard part for me is where I'm going to put the pyramids and all this other non-canon stuff. It is, again, the only real complaint I have at this point with all the recent events is that they're giving us these giant chunks of land that are in weird places. You have to almost make them an amusement park connection on some level, or you go the route of Ebron and Super Beast and some of those folks that have just blown the crap out of their towns and said, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to put them wherever I want to put them. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Patrick, I can make a suggestion for you.
Okay.
where to put this stuff. It's called your inventory.
Oh, I see.
It's that little cardboard. I was gonna tell. Well, it's digital, so I really can't tell you where to put it. But it's that little cardboard icon in your game. You can put all kinds of stuff in there that doesn't work in your town. It's unlimited storage.
I know.
Unlike most, phones, your inventory actually has unlimited storage.
But the question becomes at that point, as a moderator of the game, I would actually opt to not even play the third act because I don't care about any of the stuff that's coming, to be absolutely honest about it.
Well, you should want to get the mummies. I mean, you always want to get characters.
What do I want a mummy walking around my town for? It's so confusing.
The same reason you have a werewolf walking around your town. How is that not confusing?
The werewolf is always possibly in any town.
Any vampires walking around your town. Come on.
Vampires are the same way. It's true. I don't know.
You want a good story about the mummy? They got trapped in a toilet paper factory. Hey, look who's on the call.
Hey, look. Hey. As soon as we said mummy, direct from Turkey.
It's our international turkey expert.
You guys getting ready for a U.S. Thanksgiving?
No, not sure.
No,
come
on.
I was making my joke about you being the turkey expert. That's all.
I am. It's
so
true.
Pat, I think I figured it out. So what happened is Grandpa was feeding the pigeons by the black hole, but he must have dozed off or something. And while he did, a mummy came through the black hole into your town.
It's very possible. It's very possible.
I'm telling you, there's so many space-time possibilities because of the precious ecosystem you've set up in there.
I know it is a delicate balance. The only thing, the thing that keeps me sane is that I have my monorail dividing reality and Springfield or Unreal and Springfield. So all the stuff that's kind of canon Springfield is on one side of the tracks, and on the other side of the tracks, I have heaven, I have England, I have all kinds of stuff.
Because England isn't real, right?
It's not real to me. Who actually owns a Beefeater outfit? Come on. Although you are currently in the land of the funniest military outfit ever, the Turkish Palace Guard outfit.
No, he's in Canada.
I just got back.
Are you back? You're still in Turkey. Now that to me, if you're going with funny military, Turkey wins hands down.
I think the Vatican Guard outfit, honestly,
that's a good one. That's a good one too. But that's blessed by God, so you can't really make fun of that.
Well, it really went off the rails. Created by Michelangelo.
That's right.
And he's not the best Ninja Turtle, by the way.
Wait, Michelangelo's not the best Ninja Turtle?
Oh, Donatello is the best Ninja Turtle.
It's definitely Donnie. Yeah.
Oh wow, here we go.
Donatello is the best Ninja Turtle.
If you said it was Michelangelo, then yeah, Donatello would. It's a tie for me between Michelangelo and Donnie.
Michelangelo just eats all the pizza, okay?
What's wrong with that? I eat all the pizza too.
I think we have now officially discovered the age gap. I'm just going to go there. I was never a turtle fan. My girls weren't into it. I'm not into it. So go ahead, discuss among yourself. Pizza, Michelangelo.
Vanilla Ice with Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go.
Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go, Go. Yeah.
Vanilla Ice.
There's a video somewhere of me singing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle theme song in the shower.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Vanilla Ice, another act that should never have existed ever. So, go ahead.
All right. Let's get back on the rails. So that's kind of what to expect for Act 3. We can, safely assume it'll be mummies, sand, lots of sand in places you don't want sand. So be sure to cover up appropriately.
Wow.
So let's jump to more quote unquote hot topics. Let's talk about the Treehouse of Horrors episode because, and I say horrors, kind of funny. It reminds me of how Joe laughing with his daughter about how you say horror.
The
horrors. Horrors.
There's horrors in that treehouse.
So apparently, I assume everybody's watched it. I don't know if Saf, if you had a chance to watch it since you just got back. Okay.
I downloaded it there and watched it there.
Okay. Wook, have you seen it?
I have not actually.
Okay.
I'm
So-
one episode behind, but I am a lot more caught up than I was before.
Well, that's good.
So
So
I went back and watched it twice just to make sure that I felt the same way.
So it's very I don't want to say controversial might not be the best word for it, but it was very not well received. A lot of people on the internet, which it's always full of a bunch of weirdos anyway, but even
That blog queen.
the critics, the TV and movie critics, they never know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But a lot of readers on the site commented they thought it fell quite short this year. They weren't funny and they weren't scary and they didn't really have a theme to really tie them together. It was very mismatched.
Was there Kang and Kodos?
I didn't see Kang and Kodos. Not that I remember seeing anyway.
Just all of a sudden I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I don't remember seeing them at all.
I think you watched last year's. Oh, anyway. It absolutely, completely missed the mark for me. I actually tried to go back and figure, because I kind of fell asleep the first time I watched it. That's how bad it was. It didn't have anything to keep me going. So I went back and I watched it twice more. Not only was there no continuity except for the blinking eyes, but my wife, who generally is not a huge Simpsons fan watcher, kept saying, "Was that the end of that? Was that the end of that one? I don't get it." There was nothing. Because usually you have 3 succinct little horror films, little horror films for Joe. But the point is, there was nothing that said, here's the beginning, here's the end. This is the theme of this segment. It was weird. It was a bad episode on almost every level to me. Forget Treehouse. But anyway, there you go.
Well, I can tell you just like looking at like what they're about, I'm interested. So it sort of makes me sad that they didn't end up good because like Pod People's should always be good. And then one of them's supposed to be like the movie Split, right? With
Right.
James McAvoy, where he has the multiple personalities.
Yep.
And then Geriatric Park, how was that bad?
It didn't. That was the only one that actually had anything that felt like traditional.
That was my favorite of the 3.
If you want to weave a theme throughout them, the one theme you probably could weave is Lisa. Lisa was the focus on all the episodes because, the geriatric one, she was the one who was able to communicate with Grandpa. With the Pod People, she just was the one you followed throughout that one basically. And
She's
then
a vegan.
yes. And then with the other one, she was the star of that episode. So that would be your commonality theme, I suppose.
Okay,
Trying to find one.
Usually they don't have commonality.
Well,
that's kind of
something that ties it together, I guess.
Yeah, treehouses are usually 3 individual stories. That's what makes them the treehouse.
The best part of that whole episode was the intro with the eating. What was it? Was it chowder eating or fishy? I can't remember what it was. But
Yeah,
the eating contest.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
and that was the best part of the whole episode.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, there was nothing that was the same. I don't know who directed it, who conceived it, who came up with it, but they haven't watched previous Treehouse of Horrors to figure out what the theme is after 30 years.
Well, that's what I was going to say. After 30 years, you would think that this would be because technically the show's not renewed yet. So this could be the last season of the show. And I don't think it's going to be the last season, but this could be the last season. You would think they would want to really, like, Treehouse of Horror is their thing. You would think that they'd want to have this like amazing, over the top, crazy Treehouse of Horrors episode.
Well, ironically, TSTO is a better Treehouse of Horrors than the actual Treehouse of Horrors. I mean, there's 3 individual acts that are funny, that have good dialogue, and have, kind of separate stories that tie together. But it was terrible. I mean, comparatively to any other Treehouse of Horror, it was clear at the bottom. I mean, it was way down at the bottom for me.
Yeah. If we did the bracket battle again, but this time with the worst segment, I have a feeling this would be a clean sweep for Treehouse of Horror 29.
Yeah, I agree.
We're not making him want to watch this at all.
I'm going to watch it. I mean, it's actually on my to-do list later tonight. because I'm all caught up and I want to talk about it on the podcast. But yeah,
The podcast.
Yes, but yeah, I guess with trepidation, I'll be watching it later tonight.
And then you'll be the one who loved it. It was amazing.
Well, you're going in with low expectations, so I mean that should help it a bit, I think.
Nice.
Well, I mean, honestly, like Treehouses of Horror, like in the past like 10 years, haven't really been so great. You know what I mean? Like there's the iconic ones from the past, and then there's the ones now where they feel the need to like do the movies. There was the one where Bart's a spy. It's like Kingsman and something else, and
well, the one with Dr. Seuss was pretty funny. The Dr. Seuss one was funny.
I liked Coralisa from the last season. I thought that was super cool.
They've had a couple good.
Yeah. So I mean, they have hits and misses.
And the one with Strong.
As long as I like the geriatric park one, I'm fine.
But the point is, there's at least a formula that has been set. Is the Treehouse of Horrors always has a formula that you can rely on. It's like, we're back to the good old days of whatever. Whether or not each segment is perfect is different. There are 3 individual segments, and Kang and Kodos are involved, and there's some things that are touchstones to that method that you go, this is the Treehouse of Horrors. This is not.
They have announced that next year, even though they're not renewed yet, for season 31, the Treehouse of Horror episode is going to be episode number 666. Yeah. So maybe they're saving all the epic stuff for an episode that hasn't aired yet, that is for a season that hasn't been renewed yet.
Yeah, I noticed that when I pulled up the Wikipedia that they have season 31 like to be announced, and I didn't think that was official yet.
Yeah. They're not going to cancel the show as long as they keep making it. I mean, Simpsons, Fox is making too much money off of it still. It's still a highly rated show for that time slot.
I mean, honestly, this week is the first week where I ever had the thought, like, let The Simpsons end. But I think we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree.
Actually, we'll get into that now.
Actually, before you guys get into that, I left my hotel in Istanbul 31 hours ago, and I've been home for like 5 minutes. I just need to – I'm going to say bye. But I want
you don't want to get into the controversial part, is what you're telling me.
Oh, I'm like, Safi's the person we need for this discussion.
I'm a little too jet lagged to actually be processing what you guys are talking about right now. So my flight was like 4 hours delayed, and I had like a 6-hour layover, which ended up becoming an 8-hour layover. So yeah.
So we're gonna let Safi
guys at the next live.
We're gonna let Safi go, and we will make sure he gives his opinion at some point.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, Saf.
Bye.
Bye, Saf.
Okay, so the news broke last night. And I put this in the show notes below, a link to one of them, that there are reports that The Simpsons, because of the controversy surrounding Apu, will be, I don't want to say killing off, but causing the serious disappearance of the character Apu.
Yeah, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. I'm sorry. I mean, so if you start reading into it, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your prelim.
I was just gonna say. So, what are our thoughts on that? I mean, if you've watched the show recently, you really haven't seen much of Apu anyway. So, is it really just going to be like a continuation of what's going on now? It's one of those things where it almost feels like they didn't even need to say anything. They could have just covered it up, like just not had him on episodes. It wouldn't have been really noticeable.
That's what you're doing. Mike Reese actually came out with a statement today that, hey, we already took care of that in 2016. Quote unquote. We already took care of that in 2016. He's only been in a couple of episodes since then. So basically, the way they're going to deal with it is just to shove it under the rug, let this guy have his day of glory with, the whole documentary routine that he's been taken out and trotting around that created this whole mess, and they're not going to deal with it. And so then every time that anybody gets interviewed, like Hank Azaria did on Colbert, and gets point blanked with it, Hank is like stuck hanging out there going, oh, I feel really bad. I don't want to offend anybody, because they didn't deal with it. They literally just dealt with it by not dealing with it, which is, I think, it's a poor way to do it, particularly since they did a whole episode that in essence was making fun of critics, of people that were being critical.
For those who don't know, and if you don't know, you've been living under a rock, a Simpsons rock. There was a documentary that came out. I forget when it came out. I think it was last year. The Problem with Apu is what it was called, where it basically said that Apu is essentially everything that's wrong with the world. A show making fun of, he's a stereotypical Indian, basically, and that's what they kind of came out with. We haven't really addressed it on the site because it's not really what we're about, and it's not really what we want to be about. But
I actually did write about it on Friday Filler.
Did, but we haven't really
dove in. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
And we haven't talked about it on the show or anything like that. But the reason we're talking about it today is because they're pulling a character off the show who is an essential part of the show for 30 years. So that's kind of why we're talking about it now. So go ahead, Pat. I'm sorry, I cut you off earlier.
No, it's okay. It's I'm kind of worked up about this only because in this political climate, you either deal with something or you don't deal with something. And to me, I just tweeted out Gene this morning. He hasn't replied. And I basically said, look, you guys folded like a fat lady in a lawn chair. Okay, so that's offensive in itself. I laid that out as a joke, right? And I said, you have more than 40 characters in TSTO that could be deemed far more or as equally offensive as Apu. And because what they're doing is ignoring, they're trying to dodge the bullet that The Simpsons has always been somewhat controversial since its very beginning. And if you count, I did it this morning. I went and looked. I know I'm going crazy here, but I went and looked. There's 44 characters in TSTO that absolutely, positively are politically incorrect in the way that they're portrayed.
Jesus.
No, it's unbelievable. So Hank Azaria, ironically, voices about 3/4 of them. He's kind of the king of politically incorrect, apparently. But if you look at what's going on, the thing with Apu is they've decided to pick on a family guy who is in fact a successful business guy, hardworking business guy, and instead they've taken him off because this guy did this documentary, and this again, some comedian that no one had ever heard of until he did the documentary, practically. But then you go through here and you look at the Asians. Let's start with a couple of big ones. Asians, every single voice they do is highly offensive if you're an Asian. It's so stereotypical. I mean, every single thing they say is in a thick, weird Asian dialect. Right? The Italians, self-serving. I mean, they're all either thugs or guys that speak it like this, but they're all
It's very offensive to me as an Italian,
as it should be. So the Jews, the Indians, the hillbillies, the Irish, the blacks, the gays, they even make fun of Jesus. Jesus is like a petulant teenager, right? The Pope. I mean, there's no end of it. They made fun of Rush Limbaugh in their own way. The point is, with 30 years of clearly saying, look, people, take a chill pill. This is a cartoon show that offends everybody in some way, shape, or form because of the type of humor it does. Why would you buckle to one guy, one character, and then the way you deal with it is just disappear him? You don't deal with it, you just disappear him. I just find the whole thing really, really crappy. Chicken, whatever. It's a bad way to deal with it. Either come out and stand up or don't. But this in between thing of just kind of skittering off into the night is really chill. It's not cool. So there you go. I'm done. I've ranted.
Woke.
I think Avi Shankar did the trouble with Apu, and I get where he's coming from, being an Indian American gentleman, and that's something you know what I mean? There's certain people that it's still okay to be racist towards, and it's Asians and people of Indian descent. And it just is what it is. Someday, it'll just be, you can be racist towards Irish people again. But
everywhere.
Apu, they missed a mark. If you really are saying yes, we think that we've been insensitive for 29 years, you don't just disappear it. You don't just shove Apu into a basement and then you're yeah, well, what who Apu? what? Trouble with who? We don't have him. Like, they missed an opportunity literally for him to be like in the Quickie Mart with like Lisa and be like, I really don't talk like that. Like, I've just been putting on that accent for the white people. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that would have been
really
great.
Funny.
That would have been great.
Like, something really funny. And then, like, Homer being like, what? And he's like, thank you, come again. You know what I mean? Like, just
that would have been hilarious.
But even if you look at a show like The Big Bang Theory, right? The character Raj is that over-the-top, stereotypical Indian American. Well, he's not American, but he was born in India. So, but that's kind of just what has evolved. So I'm kind of surprised.
He doesn't talk like that in real life.
That's it. That's the other thing. I mean, he's throwing on a heavy, thick accent. So it's just, they definitely missed the mark to address it, like Wook said, and like Pat said, because there are plenty of other shows that have characters that do that same over the top accent and meet all those stereotypes. But to the same extent, The Simpsons have stereotypes about everyone. Like,
well, yeah, it's a satire. Like, people need to remember that the show is a satire. And I don't feel it any, like, Hank Azaria's come out. He's never like meant to like hurt people of like Indian descent or like hurt their feelings. That's why I sort of wish like Safi was here, because I feel like his opinion would be better than us three white people.
Well, we actually had a conversation off camera about a month and a half ago with Safi. And I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but he simply said, no, I'm not offended. He gets it. He understands what the whole thing is about. But the bigger point, and you made it really well, is that if you're going to deal with this, it's not to start by doing an episode that ridicules the people that had a problem. It was like, get over it, and then they just folded completely and ran away and said, we're not going to address it at all ever again. But again, if you just listen to the sound bites in our game, you want to be offended. You got Katenge, you've got three of the people that are Asian that you can't hardly understand. It took me forever to understand one thing Mr. Sparkle was saying at this point. It's like,
Mr. Sparkle.
Yeah, Mr. Sparkle. It was the whatever, the thing about the radish and the whatever. It's like, I still listen to it and go, what? I don't hear that. But the point is, everybody in this game is being ridiculed. Every single person except maybe Lisa is being ridiculed on some level.
I mean, and controversial to what people may say, Italians we don't talk like this, he's a but we don't talk like we have marbles in our mouth.
Wait,
no, you talk like this. That's some out of you.
Well, that's how how you say you're broken Italian.
No more Fat Tony. Fat Tony off the show. It's literally going to be Lisa on the couch like, I'm not offensive.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, then she picks bad boys. So she's the typical brainiac who has bad choice in women.
Lisa's offensive to stupid people.
There you go. But I mean, literally, I counted just the TSTO. There are 44 characters in TSTO that are absolutely positively, politically incorrect with their dialects, their accents, and their dialogue.
It just, I don't know. I don't want to get too political, but it bothers me. Like, I will say, like, I don't want anybody to be offended, and I understand if you feel offended, I'm sorry. And like, if you really don't like it, then don't watch something. Obviously, that's like the best way. But like, there's a trigger point somewhere where if we can't have satire, which is one of the only ways to actually like hold like political power and stuff up to a light, where you can actually be like, wow, that is wrong, then literally we're falling into like the yes man culture of just everybody's offended and you don't actually look at what's going on in power structures. And satire is a very, like, if you look at some of the stuff they've done with like politics, it's amazing. And Apu, like, to me, like, we're going the 30th season. I'm 38. I literally feel like Apu is a part of my family. Like, to say like, oh, we're just gonna disappear him, like he's gone. I'm like, you're gonna what? Like, I went to Simpsons Take the Bowl, and when Hank Azaria did all of his impressions, including Apu, like, I felt warm in my heart. Like, yeah. Like, and like it sounds bad, but when I went to 7-Elevens and saw like men of like Indian descent, I didn't want to like make fun of them. I was just like, my town has an Apu. Like, this is awesome.
Well, I mean, and to your point, Apu is probably the least offensive of all of the characters. Of the 44, he and his wife are clearly the least offensive of all of them. Every single one of them. It's crazy. I don't get it.
I mean,
I don't understand.
We live in a world now where somebody's going to be offended by everything, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, someone's going to find it offensive. So
I'm offended by that statement, by the way.
That's it.
Now we need to make Alyssa disappear.
Yeah. No, God.
So
Pat disappeared. Who was offended by him?
I was offended. I offend myself half the time.
I mean, but that's just kind of where we're headed. It's getting a little. The only person you can make fun of in this world is a white man. I mean, that's it.
Feel free.
That's all that's left. You can only that. So Homer will never go away.
Well, actually, you can't do that either because there's an entire movement that's set up just for that. So yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I have this debate all the time with a number of my buddies who, in this political climate, realize that they have to agree that it's gone so far backwards that now, you know, white supremacists and everybody have a right. Everybody has a right to speak. So it's like, okay, look, at some point, we all have to step back a little bit. And as Wookie says, satire has been around since day one in the United States. It is the most protected part of our Constitution. It was something that the original framers went way out of their way to protect because it was done during the time of pamphleteering and some of the nastiest political stuff in our history of our country was actually at the very beginning of our country. And these guys were really smart in the way that they protected it. So for this to become this whole thing of, you hurt my feelings and now I'm done and now you must make reparations. You must change everything you've done for 30 years. It's idiotic.
Well, and it's almost sort of like a backlash. Like Apu offends me and they're just like, okay, he's gone. Like, they don't even bother, like, doing something. They're like, we don't really care about your feelings. We're just,
well, to your point, it's going to end up being like 3 characters. If they literally went through and looked at every single character in the show and in the game, we would be left with like 3 characters. That would be it. Are you getting an endorsement deal for that Disney Cup, by the way? Every time you come up, the Disney thing is really clear.
Oh, it's a Jungle Cruise Cup.
No, it's a...
No, I'm just saying at the bottom it says Disney. It's like you're getting an endorsement deal here.
Oh no,
it's from 2010.
Yeah,
it is from Disney World. But the only reason I have this cup is because it's one of the only mugs that has Buzz and Woody on it.
No, actually, that's funny. You both have Disney, and I just have the one I've had for, I think 35 years.
I'm pretty sure he got that cup before Apu was racist.
No, it's true. It says Dad. It says Dad, head honcho, big wheel, fearless leader, chief, top brass, boss, except when Mom was around.
So
I mean, I don't like, if they don't handle this better, like, it's almost enough for me to be like, you know what, 30 years was a good run, and then just I can
tell you right now, Al Jean has not responded to my text at all, and I'm gonna go after them at this point.
Does he normally respond?
No, he does. Actually, what's crazy is Al Jean is like a Twitter head, and he will respond, but he's just ignoring this whole thing right now. I think that's the rule.
So I want to just jump to a couple of reader thoughts on this. Sandy Toe 74 says, seriously, how do you get rid of an original beloved character like that? Are they drinking the special Kool-Aid? An employed, hardworking, married father character. That's just crap. Controversy, really? This is what they back down from. Wow, cop out. Then it's just over. Cancel the whole show already. So sick of all the hypersensitivity. Get over yourselves and learn to laugh. Life is too short to find fault with a cartoon character. Okay, rant over. Happy Halloween. Italian Beauty says, I think getting rid of Apu is just stupid. If you have a problem with how a group of people or culture is being portrayed, create new characters for the show that portray them how you want them to be represented. I'm sure there are plenty of actors from that culture that could even voice those new characters. It's really an easy solution. There's room for Apu as he is and new updated characters. And Ebron says, saying that the Simpsons have stereotypes of everyone is not entirely true. There are no negatively portrayed black characters. It isn't acceptable in today's culture to lampoon the black culture, although it was widespread 30 years ago. I don't like how they're handling the issue, but I am not bothered by it being an issue. The lowest form of comedy.
That's not true.
Wait, let me finish this. The lowest form of comedy is making fun of someone else's culture or background, and I think they can do better. Go ahead, Pat.
Well, first of all, she's incorrect. In the blacks, they have the Hibberts, they have J, Lou, JG, Kitenge, and Luscious Sweet, and Chester Dupree. So those are just in our game. Now, if you don't see the dialogue or the way that they're portrayed as being, politically incorrect, then you truly don't pay attention. Sorry.
Well, Chester insults not only people of color, but he also insults young people because he's a lazy sack of poo.
Right. But I mean, Tange and Luscious Sweet, I mean, all of these people have such clearly derivative lines, and Tange is in an accent that is offensive every time I hear it. And it's because I have a nonprofit in Uganda. So I go, why do they have Kitenge? But again, I understand. I get it. I get the concept.
I mean, well, yeah, like the point of like some of those characters, like it's like actually like make you like aware of like Africa and like to pay attention and be like, oh, people aren't like that, and like you learn a lesson.
Yeah,
and like humor is a root to that, but I don't know. I feel they could have handled it, and maybe they still will, and we'll see. There's still a lot more episodes, but
no. They've already made it clear how they're going to deal with it, and in fact, they went so far. If you do a little digging on the response, they went so far as for Mike Reese to say, "Look, we already dealt with it because there's a screenshot of Apu in heaven." They actually showed Apu in heaven in a wide screenshot, and we've already dealt with it by just writing him out of the show.
Wasn't that last week? Or 2 weeks ago, they had everybody was in heaven though. Everybody.
Yeah, but I know that's the thing. It's like they're really dodging. They're really digging and dodging. It's hilarious to watch. I mean, so at the same point, we've had shows canceled. Yesterday was a good example. There was a show canceled because of one comment that was made on TV that was a racially motivated or racially insensitive. The Roseanne show was canceled for overt comments in the media. So yeah, we're in a hypersensitive area. I get that, but you gave Apu the same treatment as you did people who were overtly insensitive.
One show that will never be canceled is this one.
Well, there you go.
I don't know. Hey, friend.
No one can cancel us. People can just stop watching, but no one can cancel us. We're free.
There you go. All right.
So let's end this debate because we probably could talk for hours about this, and I know not everyone's going to want to sit here and listen to us talk for hours about this. Plus, I know we all have other things to do on a Saturday.
I got to go cruise at some point.
So I was going to talk about some ideas for Thanksgiving TSTO, but we're kind of at a time crunch now. We're wrapping up the show, but
I want Safi and turkeys.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
I want an international spy event where Safi is hunting for turkeys.
There you go.
He'll show up in my neighborhood where they roam free regularly in giant packs. 20s.
And hashtag Safi as a character in The Simpsons so they can get a respectable Indian Canadian.
I think he's Pakistani. We actually asked him that. So.
Oh, there you go. So Pakistani Canadian.
All right. So the Halloween event ends in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. November 14th, which is likely when we will see a Thanksgiving mini event. Odds are it will hit the 13th for the update, and then it'll actually launch on the 14th. And then that should end in about 2 weeks after that, so about the 28th of November. And then we'll probably get a teaser for Christmas, like we've gotten for all the major events the last few months. And that teaser will probably run from the 28th to December 5th, which is when we will likely see Christmas. So odds are we'll be having Thanksgiving in our games on November 14th, And Christmas in our games, December 5th. Just as a heads up to all those who don't like to be blindsided by events.
Just so you know, this year's Christmas will be entirely dedicated to Vishnu. So there will be no other Christmas. It's just going to be Vishnu.
I don't know what they're going to do this year because last year's Christmas was so good. They're gonna not have a good Christmas, I feel like. So a couple other comments came in. Ebron also talks about the Treehouse of Horror episode and says about the Treehouse episode, if they had expanded the intro into a larger part of the show, they might have had a better episode. Pod People was a great opportunity, but totally missed the mark. The geriatric park should have been a separate episode entirely. And then Amy says, thank you to the TSTO Addicts team for all your help and everything you do. Really helps me, especially with new events, because oftentimes I'm confused at the beginning of an event. I'm liking the event. I got all the relic prizes for Act 2. I'm just trying to get the She-Wolf character. Hopefully I'll have her soon. I'm kind of a completionist when it comes to things like characters, although I'm not a big fan of Devils. I was pretty happy when I found out he can earn event currency, as well as Beatrice, who I bought as well. Because I didn't think she would earn event currency, but I was pleasantly surprised by that and happy about it. Even though I'm not behind with getting prizes, thanks to Patrick's calendar, I am about a day and a half ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, somebody's appreciative for your calendars, Pat.
Yeah, that's 1 out of 443. Yeah, I didn't buy the Devil, just so you know. Didn't buy it. I had the donut. Didn't buy it.
The Devil made me do it.
I don't want him. I don't want him running around my town. So.
I didn't want a character that was essentially Mo. I'm good. Okay. I didn't need another Mo in my Springfield. Not for 139 donuts anyway.
No Mo.
No Mo. All right. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
Only that I enjoyed the face-to-face, and I know you're very jealous, Wookie, that I got to hang out with Riley and Sam. And
I am.
But yeah, it's going to happen more and more often. So you just have to adjust to it because now that we have a little Jake in the world, actually, Katie's kind of offended that we're now coming back to New Jersey a lot more since Jake was born because she keeps saying, well, you know, I was here the entire time. You could come and see me all the time. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to be seeing a lot of Sam and Alyssa and all that crew as we move through the next few.
Speaking of Sam, I hear him screaming.
There you go.
I'm like, I don't have a baby for you to visit, Pat, but if you ever end up down here, let me know.
I will. I will.
So our next show will be in 3 weeks, November 17th. And the reason we're doing that is because we don't need 3 shows about Halloween. I think we've pretty much covered the gist of Halloween, guys. So because Halloween doesn't end until the 14th, our next episode will be the first Saturday after Halloween ends, which is why it's 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, and if you guys want to know what I thought of the Treehouse of Horror episode, tune into the podcast next week, Laugh It Up Fuzzball, because I'll talk all about it. And at some point, I'm actually going to do a season 29 recap, like a audio one for everybody on the site.
There you go.
I watched it. I just haven't been able to record it yet.
All right. So anyone else have any other final parting thoughts?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know if Al Jean ever replies to me. We'll see. I don't think he's going. He's talking about the Dodgers right now, so it's like.
Well, they stink.
The longest game ever in the World Series is crazy.
I told my husband last night that should have counted for 2 games, so the really series should be tied 2-2.
I agree.
Yeah, so I will be in Disney World for the end of Halloween, and there's really no reason for me to say that other than to make all the people who love Disney World jealous. I mean, Wookiee's in Disneyland almost every day, so.
I'll be there today. Yeah.
Yes, we will be in Disney World for Riley's birthday. So please don't destroy Pat while I'm away.
Oh no,
Pat, don't blow up the site while I'm away.
No, trust me, I won't. No, I've already had the real test was, that 3 weeks of crazy. But anyway, yes, I can do a few days.
Yes, and all right, guys. So we will see everyone in 3 weeks. Have a happy Halloween, which is Wednesday. Feel free to share your costumes in tomorrow's open thread. Love seeing them. And that's it. Enjoy the rest of Halloween, the Halloween event. Enjoy actual Halloween. Get lots of candy. And we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye. Go Ducks. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.